Hi guys, welcome to Finding Sanctuary. My name's Karen. Today we will be talking about Oracle decks for beginners, but before we do, I wanted to walk you through a 3-step process that I do myself when I'm buying an Oracle deck, because even though I will be showcasing decks for beginners, it is only my opinion as to whether the decks are good for beginners or not. And I'd really love to encourage anybody that's new to Oracle card reading to be able to embrace where they are themselves and the journey they've got to today, to be able to either be buying their first Oracle card deck or to be looking at expanding their Oracle card collection. So some of the things that I think about and question myself before I buy a new deck are based around 3 particular questions. Now, the first question is, why do I want an Oracle deck? Now, the answer to this, when you first think about it, might seem really simple, but the reality is that when you do a deep dive, the reason for either purchasing your first Oracle deck or a new Oracle deck can be quite different, and the depth of that question can be quite significant. So when we think about why we want to buy an Oracle card, why is it relevant to beginner decks, Oracle decks for beginners? Why is it relevant? So I guess the reason why I think it's relevant is if we don't understand the reason why we want an Oracle deck, then we can't really begin to look at what decks will actually fulfill that need. If we understand the purpose that we're after, then we have a better understanding of what it is that might meet our needs. So if I want an Oracle deck because I wish to improve my relationship with myself and I want to use it as a way to tap into soul, then an Oracle deck that is based around self-love or self-care may be a more beneficial deck to me than an Oracle deck that's based around making a connection with angels or ancients. So that's one of the reasons why I really start with, why do I want an Oracle deck? The second question I always ask myself, and I think is worth considering when you're looking at getting a new deck, especially as a beginner, is what resonates with you. So there are so many thousands of decks out there in the world that it can become really, really confusing. But if we stop and think about what resonates with us, we have a better chance of being able to link in with the decks that are out there and what actually might be appropriate for our use and more appealing to us, I guess. So things to think about: are you interested in gods and goddesses? Are you interested in angels? Are you interested in animals? Are you interested in the moon and the moon phases? Are you interested in linking in with Mother Earth? Are you interested in crystals? Looking at all of these things and really taking the time to link in with what it is that resonates with you will help you also to choose the best deck for you. I encourage you to write down your answers to these questions as we go along. I will have the questions down below for you so that you can have a look at them again later if that's what you wish to do. But I really do encourage you to think about these questions and find the answer to them so that you can potentially look at buying the best deck for you. So the third question I encourage you to think about before you actually purchase your first or next Oracle deck. So you've already established why you want to use the deck. You've established what interests you or what resonates with you. So the last step, I think, is really important. And it's about trying to think, what kind of person are you? By that, what I mean is, are you somebody who's very visual? Are you somebody who links in with words? Are you somebody who likes to use your intuition and likes to jump off something? Are you somebody who likes to have confirmation that what you think or know is actually correct? Are you somebody that needs a lot of information to be able to make a decision? Or are you somebody who only wants to see the bigger picture? The reason I want you to consider this question is because Oracle cards come in all different shapes and sizes. Some come with words, some don't. Some come with a single word, some come with phrases, some come with detailed imagery that sets the message and the tone of the card. Some cards have imagery that is a little bit harder to link into, to understand. Some Oracle cards come with fantastic guidebooks that give you a huge foundation to jump off. And some Oracle cards don't come with any guidebook at all. So by looking at what kind of person you are, and getting an understanding of what it is that you may need is a fantastic way to make sure that the oracle deck that you buy fits your needs, actually resonates with you, because it uses animals or angels or crystals, whatever it is that you link in with and you resonate with. And it also gives you the information in a way that is supportive of your needs. So for instance, if you're somebody who likes to fly by the seat of your pants and follow your intuition, then a oracle deck that has only a key word or no words at all might be ideal for you, regardless of whether you're a beginner or not, because that deck would allow you to springboard off with a very big picture kind of view. If it has a really strong guidebook associated with that, then you have the ability to go and use your intuition when you lay the cards and you're reading them. Write down, record whatever it is that the messages that you're getting, and then you have the ability to look back into the guidebook and go, aha, this is, what I was thinking is in line with this card. If you're somebody who has to have a very clear message because you haven't learnt to trust your intuition at this point, then an oracle card that has either a one word or has a short phrase that sets the card up may be exactly what you need. This would mean that as you're using the cards, you would be able to lay the cards and understand the messages that are coming through for you. You wouldn't necessarily have to link in with the guidebook if it had one, unless you wish to have a deeper dive into that information. Now, what I think is really key to choosing an oracle deck is making sure that it's fit for purpose. So it fits with the desire for why you're getting it. It fits with what resonates for you, and it actually has the things available to you that you need. So one of the really important things is to understand, especially as a beginner, that when a set of oracle cards comes with a guidebook, that's exactly what it is. It is a guidebook. It is a book that allows you to deep dive into the information that's associated with the cards, but it is only the creator's point of view around the cards. It is something that you can work with or work from, but it is not the only interpretation for that card or that deck. It is something that I think we are better to use as a support and a foundation for reading the cards, rather than taking it as gospel and not allowing our own interpretation to link in with that. Because the more we use oracle cards and the more we trust our own intuition, the better we are at picking up the messages. That's why when you're doing a reading for yourself or somebody else might be using the same cards and doing a reading for themselves, that's why each person will get a completely different meaning to a card depending on the situation or the question they're asking about. The threads of it will be the same, but the actual information and the message that they take away can vary considerably, because every situation, every person, every deck can be read differently depending on who it is that's actually reading the cards and intuiting it. So having said all that, I'd like to show you some of the decks that I have that I believe are great for beginners. Now, I've been collecting and using, I didn't start out collecting, I started out using oracle decks in my life around 25 years ago. And over those years, I have collected a huge amount of decks in my collection. Each deck has come to me for a different reason. Like we've discussed, whatever the need is, I looked for a deck, or often they would just land in my hands, a deck that I needed for that purpose. I frequently revisit decks that I have. Some decks I have more than once because the energy of the deck is different. But I really wanted to thank those of you that have asked for my opinion on decks for beginners. As I said, I will share with you some of my decks that I think would be great. But please understand, this is my opinion. It is solely my opinion, and what I suggest may not work for you. But hopefully the manner in which I provide the information, it gives you the basis to be able to springboard from, to be able to see, will this deck work for my need? Does this deck resonate for me? And does it provide the information in the manner in which I seek? So here we go, guys. Thank you so much. So these are the Angels, Gods and Goddesses cards by Tony Carmine Salerno, and I have had these since they first came out, which was in 2003. You can still get these, I believe. They may be in an updated version and they may be a slightly different coloured box, but the cards are still available. So this is a great guidebook. So it has 63 pages in this guidebook. So it has 63 pages in this guidebook. And when we open it up, we can see that it tells us how to use these cards, what to do before we start. The readings start off with your standard 1-card reading, which is quite simple, followed by a 4-card spread, and then it gets into a relationship spread, followed by the Celtic cross, and obviously the more cards you have, the more in-depth the reading is. And then it goes on to tell us about the cards themselves. So what you can see in the guidebook is it gives us the name of the card as well as a black and white image of the card. It also gives us a short phrase about the card. So this one here is Angel of Abundance. A steady flow of abundance is about to manifest. It then explains about the card. So it does that for every card that is in the deck. So one of the reasons why I've chosen this deck to be a deck for great for beginners is the fact that it has the name of the card and then underneath it has information. So this one says Angel of Abundance, a steady flow of abundance is about to manifest. It's very clear what this card is representing. Which I think if you're a beginner or you're the type of person who likes to have clear messages given to you that are easily understood, this deck is perfect for that. The other thing I like about it is when it comes to this deck is that the angels are not your usual angels, like the Archangel Michael or Gabriel. They're actually things like the Angel of Abundance, the Angel of Communication, the Angel of Clearing. And then, of course, because it's Angels, God and Goddesses deck, it has the Goddess of Strength. Stand up for what you believe. You will gain respect by standing your ground. The Angel of Guidance. A renewed sense of direction and purpose will soon manifest. So they're really easy to understand and they're absolutely gorgeous to look at. Angel of Emergence. It's time for the real you to emerge. The Angel of Healing, and as you can see by the images, they link into what the card is about, which is another key area for people who like to visually look at things to be able to draw out further intuitive information. These cards are really great for that. So Angel of Healing, the angels have felt your sadness and have shown up today to send you healing. And then we had the God of Reflections. The qualities you see in others are simply your own reflection. The God of Indulgence. It's all right. Stop beating yourself up. A little indulgence in balance is healthy. The God of Conflict Resolution. You're being encouraged to walk away from a current conflict. And then we have some of the Goddess cards. Goddess of Justice. What seems an injustice is actually a blessing. Goddess of Beauty. You are a wondrous being of light. There is nothing to fix or change. Goddess of Oneness, someone you love is thinking fondly of you at the moment. So as you can see with this deck, they're vibrant colors. They're absolutely gorgeous imagery. The messages are very easy to understand. They're easy to be able to look at a situation or a question and apply them, which is what I absolutely love. So this to me is definitely a deck that would be great for a beginner. It would be great for somebody who likes to have a very clear message delivered to them, somebody who likes to link in with angels, if that's, or gods or goddesses, if that's something that resonates with you. Definitely a fabulous deck for that. So the next deck I'd like to suggest is great for beginners is the Divine Feather Messenger deck. This is absolutely beautiful. These cards come with a fabulous guidebook, it has a lot of easy to understand information. It doesn't give you a picture of the cards, it purely has the information relating to each card. But the information is quite detailed, so it explains about the card and then it gives you the message for the card, and then it will give you the energies for the card, the season, elements, color, and an affirmation that's related to the card. And I absolutely love the affirmations that are linked in with the cards, and that's for every card that is here. And this guidebook is 77 pages long, and obviously it has a few pages for notes if you're inclined to write them in. It is by Alison De Nicola and the artwork is by David Shearer. I believe that's how you pronounce it. And it's beautiful. Again, like most guidebooks, in the beginning it says information about working with the Divine Feather Messenger, so you know how the creators anticipate you will use the deck. It gives you a potential outlay for a reading. It talks about the elements, earth, water, fire, and air. It talks about the seasons, spring, summer, fall, and winter. And it talks about the colors. And each of these colors has a unique quality that is so beautifully expressed in nature. And then it's the cards. It's a really lovely guidebook. It's quite comprehensive. I think it's beautiful for somebody who is new or likes to use guidebooks to back up what they've intuitively received as the message from the card. I think it's a really, really lovely book. So now we'll have a look at the cards themselves. So what is unique about this deck is that they are two-sided cards. So on one side you have the feathers for the birds, and they're absolutely stunning watercolor images of the feathers. And I really like that the backs are different. And then, whoops, looks like we'll be looking at this one first. When you look at the other side, it actually gives you the birds. So in this case, the one that jumped out for us is the white swan. It says the power of divine grace is within you. They're similar to the Angels, Gods, and Goddess deck. They are designed so that the message is clearly stated on the card in a phrase and easy for you to understand. And if you're somebody like me who loves noticing and picking up feathers, you'll find that this is a stunning deck to work with. The cards are very easy to use. They're tall and slim, which is lovely. As I said, each card has a beautiful watercolor image of the bird, and the coloring is absolutely gorgeous. But they're really easy to use. They're the type of oracle cards that you can use without having to use the guidebook. But if you wished to use the guidebook and you wanted further information, you could definitely get that. So I'll just show you some of the different feathers that you can have and some of the actual animals. So definitely a gorgeous deck, and something that anybody could use and would be able to pick up the messages very clearly. They would be able to understand them very easily. They could you could deep dive if you chose into the guidebook to get a deeper understanding. And what I really like about this is that they're a deck that you can use straight up as a beginner and understand the messages. But as your talents and your ability to read oracle cards grow, they have a lot of depth that you can link into and that you can draw from. So it's not a deck that you would get tired of very easily. You would definitely continue to use it even as a seasoned oracle card reader. And they're the kind of decks that I love adding to my collection, ones that I can definitely deep dive down into if I would like, but also have the ability for me to get a really quick and easy reading that if I haven't got the time but I really want to know something, I can pick up on that. So an absolutely lovely deck by Alison De Nicola and artwork by David Shearer. So the other deck that I really like for beginners is the deck Into the Lonely Woods by Lucy Cavendish and the artworks by Dan May. I absolutely love this artwork. It is something that resonates extremely strongly with me. It is about having blessings and messages for times of solitude and isolation. So it's been created in the perfect environment of pandemic for you to be able to look within and find the answers that you need. The guidebook talks about welcome to the woods, and then it explains in here how to discover your soul family, isolation as punishment, solitary witches. It talks about shuffling and handling the cards, asking a question, clearing and cleansing your deck. This is really important. I'm not sure that this is something that most people do, and I will create a video and upload it shortly about ways that you can clear and cleanse your deck to make sure that when you pick it up and you use it, you are actually removing any prior energies that may be associated with it from previous readings, or if it's a new deck, remove energies that are associated with the journey that it's come to actually make it into your hands. So it has the card meanings here. You get a black and white image of the card. You get the phrase that comes with the card. Each card is numbered, and then it explains what the card is about. And again, these are absolutely lovely cards that you can work with. They add a lot of depth to them, but I think that they're designed in a way that anybody can use them, so they're perfect for the beginners. So these cards are extremely emotive. The feel from them is incredible, and the depth in the imagery is just it is something like I've never seen before or felt before. So what I really love about them, this one's Return to the Lost Selves. What I really like about them is that the creatures that Dan May has created, they don't really have any facial features. So when you're reading the cards, you're intuitively picking up on the imagery and their body language and the emotion that's created in the illustrations. And it is just beautiful. It is extremely inward looking. It has a really depth and feel to it of inward looking and solitude. It's a really, I find it to be a deck that's very calming, and it embraces being on your own and having moments of solitude as ways to grow and develop. It doesn't portray them as a negative. It portrays them as wonderful opportunities and moments in life to be able to learn from and grow from. The Lonesome Gardener, Your Truth is Powerful, and as you can see, the emotion in here is just incredible. I have a full-length flip through. I will put a link at the top so that you can in the right hand corner, so that you can click through to that if you haven't watched it already. It's definitely worth having a look at all the cards in the deck. Blessed Reunion, you can just feel the emotion here of these two meeting after time alone. Hope is Like a Hummingbird. So as I said, this is a beautiful deck full of emotion. Definitely has you linking inward, looking at life from a more soulful perspective, and really getting you to appreciate life as it is, and the moments of solitude and loneliness, and the growth that can come in and be developed from that. Stunning. So another deck that I think is great for beginners is the Angel Guide Oracle by Kyle Gray. Now this has a very masculine energy for me. The imagery is very beautiful. Again, it has a comprehensive guidebook. The guidebook shows a picture of the card. It tells you what the tagline is of the card. It tells you what your message is, and it gives you an extended message if you wish to dive deeper, and that's for every card that you have. As always, in the beginning, it explains about the cards. It tells you how to connect to them, how to use them. It gives you different spreads and explains how to read them. So a really, really lovely and comprehensive guidebook. So what I love about these cards is that the images show real emotion, and they're really easy to draw and intuitively read from. So this one says expect miracles, and you can see here that the hands are spread out, there's a smile on the face, and they're just waiting for miracles to come. You can see the expectancy and the joy of expecting miracles, which is absolutely gorgeous. If you're looking for a deck that's easy to read and you're very visual, this is a fantastic deck. It gives you the tagline explaining what the card is about, and the image reinforces that. So here you can see the flowing of water, you can see that he's gracefully sitting on one leg, suspended. He's just got this real balance and poise about him. So whether you are somebody who is visual and needs that information to be able to draw your own interpretation, or whether you're a beginner and you don't want to get confused by overload of information, these cards are really fantastic for that. And if you're a beginner, the fact that these cards don't have a lot of information physically on them means that you can learn to use your intuition really well by looking at the image, by reading the short phrase, the tagline. You can begin to understand the card and receive the message. The fact that it's got a great guidebook means that you can deep dive in there and get further information if you choose to, but it's not necessary. So again, blessings in abundance. You can see that in his hands, he's got so much there. It's glowing, it's in abundance, and it's just beautiful. Clear, cancel, and release. You can see that the angel is pushing back the energy. They are making sure that it doesn't get into their aura and their field. They are clearing it, cancelling it, and releasing it back to the world. Harm none. So as you can see, a very beautiful deck. Lots of beautiful colours and imagery. As I said, for me it has a very masculine feel to it. It is a deck by Kyle Gray, and the artwork is by Jennifer Hawkyard, I believe it is. Harmony and release. She has her hands up as if to let everything go. Just a really beautiful deck. So there you have it, guys. There's 4 decks that I would recommend for beginners. I will continue to share and recommend my decks with you and explain why I think they're good and their strengths. I encourage you to look at the I definitely encourage you to have a look at why it is that you want oracle decks in your life, what it is that resonates with you, and what kind of oracle reader are you, so that you can purchase a deck that suits you. Now, it may not be one of the ones that I've shown you today, but hopefully by answering those questions you will be able to look for what it is that you're after. Now, I hope you've enjoyed what I've shared with you today, and I look forward to sharing more with you in the future. Thanks, guys. Bye.